Welcome back to Operation Evil. I am your host, Nyoka.
I'm Rachel.
And today we have another local story to tell you. And this is going to be a two-parter. So, um, this is my plan, and I hope that it goes through since I'm putting it out in the universe. I'm going to be telling a story about a man named Richard Scott Embry from Owensboro, Kentucky, and his murder investigation, what happened from a media news perspective. And that's going to be this episode. And then a future episode, which I don't know if it will be the next one or a following one, but we're going to have a family member of his come on and tell the more personal side of it and the healing of it and anything that they could share with you to help your family not go through the same thing that they have gone through, because there's just a whole other side to this story that is not in the papers. So we really wanted to reach you guys in both ways, the personal and the I don't know, technical side of it. I'm not sure how I want to say that. But
personal,
yeah,
personal side of it.
Yeah. So if I didn't say it already, this is episode 64, and we are titling this one, What Happened to Richard Scott Embry. And I just want to say, first of all, this story was brought to our attention by a listener, and I'm really glad that they did that. We've been getting really good suggestions from you guys, and we appreciate it. We've had people help us research these cases and send it to us, and we just have such amazing people helping us out. And we really, really want to thank you for that. It means a whole lot. Our little community keeps growing and growing, and we love you all. As far as any other like business, can you think of any, Rachel, other than to say when this comes out, Thanksgiving would already have happened. And we hope that it was a great one for you and your family.
And the Patreon episode will be out next week, probably.
Yes, it will be out before the end of the month, because that's what we do. And as always, if you guys want to come on the episode, you have an experience you want to share, you have a story you want us to cover, anything like that, just reach out. You can email us, you can find us on Facebook, and we will definitely be there to listen and follow up with you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in.
Yeah, I want to hear this because I know nothing about this story.
I'm not going to lie. This was a really hard one to find information on. And if I didn't have help in finding some articles, I don't know.
Is this courtesy of our anonymous researcher?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's definitely a big help, because I only found so much and it didn't have much to say. So that person was able to provide more for us.
We always pick, or we are given a request for the ones that are so difficult to find information on.
I love it. I know. I feel like a detective sometimes, and I love that. I really do. So this is what I do know, is that on Friday, November 12th, in 2010, in Owensboro, Kentucky, around 6 that evening, 48-year-old Richard Scott Embry was found dead in his bedroom at 131 Stockton Drive. Initially, the police responded to the call as a possible suicide, but it quickly turned into an investigation when they arrived on scene and could tell that his death was not self-inflicted. Now, once they realized it wasn't a suicide, they labeled, and that's in quotation marks, they labeled the cause to be trauma. Okay. So initially they responded as a suicide. They get there, they're like, obviously this is not a suicide. And so they switched the call to like be labeled as a trauma. Now, later on, the autopsy will be performed, and they learn that his case And his cause of death was from blunt force trauma to the head. And so now the case has turned to officially a homicide case. Now, the Davies County coroner, Bob Howe, said that, quote, at first glance, it looked like it might have possibly been a gunshot wound, end quote. Also, the coroner's report put the time of death Friday morning. Okay, so Friday morning, time of death, they responded Friday evening at 6. So,
Okay, so he wasn't discovered until like later that evening.
yes. All right. Now, the first thing that the Kentucky's Owensboro Police Department did was they turned to the surrounding community for information. The one thing that puzzled the neighbors is why anyone would want this man dead. And from what I understand, he was a very helpful man. He put a lot into his community. He loved his community. He just wanted to help people that needed help. He saw the good and not the bad in anyone. He seemed like a very, very good man. So hopefully in part 2, we will learn more about what kind of person he was. Now, one of the neighbors, his name was Richard Brown, he said that Embry was this like very loving person, and he said that they used to go into the garage and they would talk about antique cars, things like that. They would talk about his music, and he was like really into music. And in fact, he made a video of a Christian CD, and they said it was really unique. And I do have, I have some of his music that I'm going to insert in this podcast episode. And what I'm going to do is, end of the story, I'm going to put the full song. So if you want to listen to it that way, it will all be there for you to listen to. I heard it. He's very talented. So definitely give that a listen. So the event really shook up the community because it's usually a really quiet neighborhood. And there was always this sense of security that now it seemed to be broken. And Brown says, that's the neighbor, quote, we're going to overlook everything and make sure that the doors are locked and the car doors are locked. Everyone's really concerned. Okay. So I guess to me, it sounded like one of those places where you didn't have to lock your door. You didn't have to lock your car. Everybody knew everybody kind of thing. That's the way that it came across to me, is like how this community felt. Now, the public information officer for this case, Officer Cosgrove, addressed the community and wanted to assure them that they were working very, very hard to solve his murder by saying, quote, right now, we have detectives and officers gathering evidence, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. We have other officers in the area trying to canvass the neighborhood itself and find out information from either friends or family members, end quote. Now, the officer would not comment on whether an item that might have been the weapon was found at the scene that was used for that blunt force trauma that we talked about earlier.
Okay, so this might be a very whatever question, but like, was he hit once or multiple times?
They never said. All we know is blunt force trauma to the head that it looked like, to look at it, it looked like a gunshot wound. So to me, it was probably just one really hard hit. But hopefully that will be cleared for us.
It sounds very aggressive.
Yeah, it really does.
Like that person seems like they were very angry for the police to be confused that it was a gunshot.
Exactly. Yes. That is such a good question, though. Hopefully we can find the answer to that. So they wouldn't comment on whether the item was found in the home because this wasn't an active investigation. So obviously, you don't want to put out too much information to the public and mess up any clues or suspects being, aware of what you know and what you don't know. Now, his death resulted in the police investigation that involved several detectives and a nationwide alert for sighting of his 1992 two-toned blue Chevy Silverado pickup truck. This alert did provide many tips and leads to the Embry case. Now, this is what's interesting about this truck. So it's missing, right? And Richard's deceased. And by the way, I'm going to actually pull up my little Facebook article here because, okay, on Facebook, if there, the family has a page regarding this investigation, and it did say that he was brutally murdered by the hands of an evil man, and he was killed by blunt force trauma to the head, and it happened sometime in the morning, so we already knew all that. But what it does say is that he was discovered by his wife, Vicky, later that afternoon. So I did want to throw that out there, that his wife discovered him, which is horrible. I can't imagine walking into that. So his truck's missing. He's found deceased. And the person of interest here is 45-year-old Paul Wayne Miller. And the reason why he was labeled a person of interest is because he was believed to be driving Embry's pickup truck. The officer, Cosgrove, stated that there were several indicators that led them to believe Miller took the truck. Detectives were actively looking into Miller's entire life and associates during this time as well. And with every tip and lead the police received, it said that they would check out each and every one, which is amazing.
My gosh, this already sounds like an episode of like Cold Case Files.
It does. It really does. When it came to the crime scene, the officer did announce that the detectives took a massive amount of evidence from the scene because at the time they didn't really know what was evidence, what was relevant, what was not. So they just collected a lot, which is great. I'd rather somebody collect too much than nothing or not enough.
Yeah, or thank goodness they didn't track it up.
Right. Now, 14 News reported that Miller had a 16-page criminal record, but I'll get more into that in just a minute, okay?
How many pages?
16. 16-page criminal record.
Damn.
From my understanding with this family member that we'll be coming on to is the husband was helping this person get their life back on track, okay? This person was changing their ways, changing their life around, and he was the helping hand. He was the man with a plan to help someone out because he was a good person. And that's just what he did. Good-hearted. That was just a side note. Anyway, shortly after, an arrest warrant was issued for Miller on the charge of theft by unlawful taking of property valued at less than $10,000, which is a Class D felony. And that was prepared by the Owensboro Police Department detective Nathan Goodick, which I probably said that wrong. Now, the affidavit included in the warrant says, on November 12th, Paul Miller, who was a friend of Richard Scott Embry, was at Embry's residence and took his children to school in a 1992 Chevy Silverado pickup that belonged to Embry. Now, since dropping the children off at school, neither Miller nor the pickup have been located, the affidavit says. Despite numerous attempts to locate Miller by cell phone, neither Miller nor the pickup truck have been located. So that is saying, basically, what I'm taking from this is that he killed Richard and then took his kids to school in that truck and just kept going with his truck. I could be completely wrong on that. I don't know. Either way, that's pretty disturbing. Or maybe he took the kids to school and then he murdered Richard. I don't know. I need clarity on this. Either way, doesn't look good.
Yeah, and I mean, how horrible is that? Like, maybe he let him borrow the truck? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Some men are very particular about their automobiles, so that just is kind of like...
But you're going to take this man's kids to school after you killed him or before you killed him, and this guy's helping you. I
There's
don't
just
know.
so many little things about this
Yeah, there's
that's
so
just
many
shitty.
questions. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening is Miller turned himself into the Owensboro police on Wednesday, November 16th, shortly after 8 p.m. And the truck was recovered in Evansdale. Now, prior, he was being held on a theft charge for allegedly stealing the truck. And I do want to make a note of something. The media indicated that Embry was Miller's half brother, and they said that that was according to the Daviess County coroner's office, but that is incorrect. The person I spoke to that will be coming on the podcast, hopefully, confirmed with me that that is not the truth. And the truth is that they shared a half brother, but they were not half brothers themselves. So that's just another little thing I wanted to throw out there. So if you do see information on this case, they were not half brothers. They just shared a half brother. Now, two different articles indicated different things. One article said that a few days after the truck was recovered, it was when Miller turned himself in. But another article that I read made it sound like it was the same evening that Miller turned himself in that the truck was recovered. I mean, regardless, these are the facts I do have for you. Now, according to Public Information Officer Cosgrove, the police department, it was the campus security at the University of Evansville who discovered the truck's location, and then it was impounded for evidence. That much we know. And according to court documents regarding the theft charge, it's believed that Miller drove the children to school on the day that he was found deceased, which we already discussed. And then after dropping the children off to school, Miller and the truck disappeared. And Commonwealth's attorney, Bruce Kugel said, in addition to the murder charge and the theft charge, he was also indicted on charges of being a persistent felony offender, tampering with physical evidence, and for fraudulent use of a credit card, which investigators believed it to be Embry's credit card. So he took his truck, he took his credit card, and he took his children to school.
Was there any charges for him kind of taking the kids?
Okay, this is what I do know. They don't really come out because he didn't kidnap. I mean, he did take them to school and left.
But it makes you wonder, did the son of a bitch like kill their father when they were present?
That's what I'd like to know. That's what we need to find out. I have so many questions. Now, this was so hard finding all these answers too, but apparently Miller's history of being a repeat offender included past charges of theft by failure to make a required disposition of property and criminal possession of a forged instrument. And even worse, in 2005, he pled guilty to an unlawful transaction with a minor, a charge that was amended from a first-degree sexual abuse. In exchange for the plea, Paul Miller received a 10-year prison sentence. Now let's go back even further to 1994, and he was charged with kidnapping, but pleaded guilty to unlawful imprisonment, a lesser charge after the trial ended in a hung jury. So he has really horrible charges in his background.
Do you know, like, did it say that he served that full 10 years?
No. Well, I have his criminal record, and I will read what I do have. But before I do that, I will say that even though all this has happened, Miller pleaded not guilty at his arraignment in the Daviess Circuit Court on all charges, all of it. He says not guilty. The Miller's family, his family, even showed up to support him at the arraignment. But the judge set Miller's bond to $420,000.
That's a lot of cheddar.
Now, I did not find any articles to say what his sentence was, but I did find his inmate sheet with all his charges and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will also post pictures of him and of our victim, Richard, on our Facebook. But he is eligible for parole on November 3rd, 2030. Uh, let's see here. Okay, offense one, murder, sentence length 40 years. And then offense two, theft by unlawful taking or disposition, greater than 500 and lower than 10,000. He got sentenced for 5 years with that. So that must have been the truck. Yeah, stealing the truck. And then the third offense was the fraudulent use of the credit card, more than 500, but less than 10,000 within 6 months. So that's the credit card he stole. And he was sentenced to 5 years for that. And then his offense number 4 was tampering with physical evidence, which he was sentenced 5 years for that. So, I mean, we're looking at 55 years total. If it's all, I'm assuming it's all served consecutively, blah. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be getting out anytime soon, though.
So he's up for parole in 2030?
2030.
Yeah, that's another one. They should just throw that key away.
I think so, too. Now, that's all the information I have on this case. So our hope is that in part 2, we're going to bring on someone to talk more into this case, like the background, the relationship they had, and how it got here, and hopefully some advice on how to prevent it, because I feel like in a lot of cases, we are like, we want to see the best in people and we want to believe that. And this is especially for women. We want to be nice. And sometimes nice doesn't get you good results. And sometimes it's okay to be rude, and it's okay to do that to stay safe. And if you have that intuition inside you, something feels wrong, something probably is wrong, and we shouldn't push that feeling away. So I think that this person's going to come on and talk more about that, and maybe they felt something was wrong, but they were being nice, and the husband was nice to this guy, or you know what I mean, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever went down, the more personal story will be shared. I hope this story made sense.
It's just a shame. It did, but it makes me sad that there's so many people, like we just talked about Judy Green and her family. That was another family that tried to help somebody out.
Yes. Yeah.
And then like Chris Kyle, like he tried to help that veteran out. Like there's just, you hear of that too many oftentimes.
I know. And this person's going to tell us a story from a survivor perspective, and not everyone is labeled a survivor because they were personally attacked and survived the situation, but because they were in the situation and they survived it, and they can tell their story and help someone else. And that is just so important. And I feel like once we have this person on, we can ask more questions. She can clarify all these things that we talked about today. It's disheartening that you put yourself out there to help someone, and this is how you're repaid. It's absolutely horrific. And I'm sure that guy did not even know what he was getting himself into. I mean, who does background checks on someone before they help them? You know what I mean? I'm sure he didn't know this guy had a 16-page criminal record that involved, minors and violence and sexual abuse and whatever it may have been. These kind of people are just repeat offenders, and they should not keep getting off the hook or serving less time. So hopefully he never sees the light of day.
But then there's some people who are constantly getting in trouble, and all they need is just a little bit of positive guidance, and they can be, redeem themselves or whatever. But I've heard where survivors before, they blame themselves. Or I've heard a survivor say, the day that he or she died, I died too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe this person can really, maybe her words somebody needs to hear.
I think so too. I cannot wait for this episode to come out. I just can't wait to talk about it all in person. And the fact that I do think some people can change their lives around, but when it comes to someone like this with charges going back in the 90s with harsh charges, there's sometimes some people cannot be changed. And I think that was this person. And he obviously manipulated the situation and impersonated to be a good person, and he was not.
Mm-hmm.
He probably gained the family's trust and then took advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's all I have for you on this story. If anyone listening knows more information on this story and they would like to write us about it, go ahead, because I know it's a Kentucky story. So hopefully there's some Kentucky people listening to this.
And you got us on a cliffhanger.
I know it is on a cliffhanger, but there's another part coming, and we're going to get all of this out in the air to open up. We're going to have closure on this one, Rachel. We're going to have closure in one way or another, and we're going to help people in the process. That's what's going to happen. I am confident. But
well, I think you did good, like getting the story started. And
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. And instead of our normal outro music, I'll just put in his song here so you can give a little listen to his music. And it's a shame that he's not able to do that anymore, but what a blessing it was to have it captured to where they can still hear it whenever they want.
Is this the one where the video where he's in jail in the prison?
Yes. Yeah. But he wasn't really in prison. Okay. It was just the
right. Just the video.
You know what? I'm actually glad that you brought this up, because when I was listening to the video, I always look at comments on stuff that people are commenting on YouTube videos and whatnot. And somebody said, do you think that, because he apparently Miller had listened to Richard's song weeks before murdering him, and it was almost like, did you act out the song? Because it's about things that I'll just play the song, you'll just have to listen to it. I mean, but it was implied. You know what? I got my phone next to me. Let me just solve this issue. Because
solve this issue.
I know. I want to read that comment, okay?
There you go with your detective work again.
I know, right? Somebody said, wow, I was promoting Scott's music back then. I am so sorry for his family's loss. I didn't know until today that his life was taken from him. Him and his wonderful music will be missed dearly. Somebody said, you have a big hit with this song. I really loved it. Great job. Oh, where was the one that I read, though? I swear I didn't make this up. I saw this somewhere. And I can't confirm my source.
They were thinking that he just reenacted this song, the lyrics, the video.
Something about it, yeah. This is going to annoy me now. And I don't know if I have this. Let me look at one thing real quick before we let our peeps go. Let me see. Let me click on here. Oh no, I don't want to play that. Okay.
Look at your Katie Holmes face.
I don't know where you get that from, but I don't look like Katie Holmes. But yes, I like that you think that. It makes me feel good. She's a pretty lady. Where did I see that, and why didn't I screenshot it? Can you tell me? Can you tell me why?
Are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't on Facebook? Like on one of the posts?
It could have been anywhere. I give up. I don't know. Let's listen to the lyrics closely. I'm going to play it for you. Take it as you will. But I do know remember saying that he played it for him 2 weeks before he murdered him. So, oh, what a day. Rachel, what a day.
Well, tomorrow you're going to have turkey, so, or ham or whatever.
Yeah. Are you going to miss my Katie Holmes face? I wish I had a Katie Holmes face.
You do. I was like looking at you when you were trying to find that. Look at her, that Katie Holmes face.
Katie Holmes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. You know what? I haven't done my little spiel in a while. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay? It's been a minute.
What's spiel?
I'm going to tell you.
Spiel?
I'm going to tell you
about
right
Buzz?
now about Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout or whatever?
Yes. You are psychic. So I'm going to do it right now, just as a reminder. If you're interested in connecting with us in our true crime, like-minded community, you can do so on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. And if you can't get enough of Operation Evil, consider supporting us on the podcast, because why not? Bonus episodes. Love us. Okay. Now, as a reminder, if you want to make your own podcast and you want to use Buzzsprout like we do, because they put you on all the major platforms and it's amazing and it does all the work for you after you do it one time initially, I recommend it. We have a link in our show notes. It lets them know that we sent you and that you listen to us, and you benefit and I benefit. So, and Rachel benefits, and it's just a win-win-win-win-win. Does that work?
Are you out of breath?
I think so. All right. Anyway, we love you guys, and we will keep you posted. Hopefully the next episode will be the part 2. If not, it'll be the one after. We'll let you know. Anyway, anything else?
Happy little Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Was a man full of anger deep inside. I never showed it much, I just let it hide. Till one day I killed a man with these 2 old wicked hands. Now I'll pay for my crime due time. In this cold dark cell is where I saw the prison of my sin. Everything became so bright. I saw the person that I came to be. They had to lock me up so he could set me free. They gave me life for the crime that I made. And the judge of all the earth, he did the same. Then he gave his only son as a ransom for what I'd done. Now I'm free, even though I'm doing time. is where I saw life. From the prison of my sin, everything became so bright. I saw the person that I came to be. He had to lock me up so he could set me free. They had to lock me up so